Part 46. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 452. At this moment, everyone was completely desperate. Not even the gods can suppress this old ghost. The ghosts are so terrifying. If it's over, I'm afraid the entire eastern wasteland is over. I will not become the blood food of ghosts. For a moment, everyone in the field started screaming and wailing. No. How can it be like this? How can it be like this? Xuanhuan knelt on the ground and looked at the direction where the gods disappeared. He felt that his faith had collapsed. The omnipotent God was actually scared away by a ghost today. God help me, help me. Yang Dingtian and others were even more trembling. All sects, forces, etc. have fallen into despair. But Lao Gui Gaiki just snorted coldly at this moment. Then, he turned to look at the Pegasus in the scene. No one can stop him. He walked over step by step, his sinister old eyes exuding deep greed. Pegasusian spirit, a divine creature in the world. If the Ghost Master can get it and devour it, it will definitely shake the entire ghost world in this life and kill him through the divine realm. It is not impossible. He murmured and grabbed the crystal cage. Snapped. The crystal cage shattered directly. But at this moment, the horse's yinling instantly turned into a ray of light. He actually escaped from him. Pegasus has the fastest speed in the world. You can't escape. The old ghost roared, and the ghostly aura filled the entire area around the altar. A ghost realm was formed. Everything is under his control. The Pegasus flew by like tassels, and he stared at its trajectory. But I saw that horse suddenly arrived next to a girl in a purple dress. Seeing these two girls, the old ghost's eyes jumped because it discovered that his ghost did not cover these two girls. The location they were in seemed like an untouchable restricted area. Not even his endless ghost energy can contaminate that place at all. What's happening here? Everyone looked over. At this moment, Pegasus fled directly to Xiling. Its big eyes looked at Xiling, misty, and seemed to have a trace of confusion and curiosity. Xiling looked at the snow-white divine steed Pegasus. At this moment, she was in a state of confusion. She subconsciously reached out and touched Pegasus' head. I was with you. You were my best friend. She murmured subconsciously. Tianmo let out a low whimper, and suddenly rubbed his head against Xiling's hand. His watery eyes as big as copper bells were actually very wet. Pegasus seems to be crying. At this moment, Xiling felt inexplicably sentimental, and she said, "Be good, stop crying, I'm here." Pegasus suddenly knelt down on its front hooves. It looked at Xiling expectantly, as if waiting for Xiling. Xiling no longer hesitated and jumped forward. At this moment, the Pegasus carried Xiling and flew into the sky. The wind whistled past my ears. The clouds were moving rapidly before my eyes. At this moment, Xiling felt an unprecedented experience. She seemed to recall something, but she couldn't remember it. She didn't think about it anymore, she simply experienced the wind. She felt that even though it was only her first time riding a horse, her thoughts could be one with Pegasus. With just one thought, Pegasus could understand her thoughts. At this moment, everyone at the Sanshenzhou sacrifice altar was looking at the scene in disbelief. They looked up at Tianyu in disbelief. Oh my God, Pegasus actually recognized his master? How is this possible? Pegasus is the purest beast in the world. Only the purest girls can win the favor of Pegasus. What is the origin of this girl in purple skirt? She can make Pegasus recognize her as her master. This girl is extraordinary. Everyone exclaimed. In the eyes of the world, every time the Pegasus leaps out, sacred silver light scatters in the sky, and the girl on the Pegasus's horse is like a purple tassel, like a princess riding a white horse, like the goddess of the 9 heavens, pure and flawless. At this moment, there were even some cultivators in the field, worshipping the scene in the sky with great piety. But at this moment, the old ghost's eyes were filled with rage. The Pegasusian spirit is mine. No one can get involved. He roared angrily, and his ghost energy completely burst out. It's like the reappearance of purgatory. Countless ghosts are howling, souls are screaming, ghost energy is rising into the sky, and endless ghost hands appear, as if they want to catch Pegasus and Xiling. Under the outbreak of this evil spirit, many cultivators around the altar could not resist. They became insane on the spot and went crazy from the torture. Many people were surprised at this moment. Isn't this old ghost the same as them? Why did the old ghost attack her? There was a lot of discussion. And above the sky, feeling the endless ghost hands coming, Tianma seemed a little nervous, but Xiling gently touched its head and said, "Don't be afraid." After saying that, a picture scroll appeared in her hand. It was a picture of the rising sun in spring that she took out from her master's study. Just as the scroll was taken out, the countless ghostly hands around him hurriedly retreated as if they had touched the fire. The ghost monster formed by the old ghost is almost bursting. Goichi stared at the scroll in Ziling's hand and suddenly felt an unparalleled panic. As a 1,000-year-old ghost, its cultivation has already been extraordinary, and its premonition is even stronger. He understands that if this scroll is opened, he will be annihilated by the ashes. What a picture this is! The old ghost's heart was greatly shocked, his mind was spinning, and he suddenly put away the ghost completely. Then, he knelt down directly. "Don't kill me, please, don't kill me." He knelt down and begged. Because he didn't even have the courage to escape. Before that scroll, he felt like he couldn't escape at all. No matter where he escapes, he will probably be killed. Everyone around was shocked when they saw this scene. This terrifying old ghost, who even scared away the gods, actually, knelt down on the ground, begging a girl for her life. Everyone was shocked. What's happening here? That scroll, the scroll in the girl's hand, can suppress ghosts. There seems to be a great terror hidden in that scroll. Even the old ghost is scared. Everyone murmured. What kind of scroll is that, and what is it hiding? No, isn't this girl and the old ghost together? The old ghost is not the strong man behind them at all, but is the enemy. This old ghost can't afford to offend the people behind that girl. At the same time, everyone also reacted. Previously, they were misled by Mo Xian and others, and they all thought that the old ghost came with Ziling and the others. Only now did I realize that it was definitely not the case. At the same time, everyone also understood, the existence behind Ziling was ridiculously strong. Mu Wanqing, on the other hand, was also extremely excited at this moment. Is this the work of Senior Li? So what if it's a terrifying old ghost? When faced with the picture of his old man, everyone would kneel down and beg for mercy. Senior Li is too strong. On the sky, Ziling was holding a scroll in his hand, and he hesitated for a moment. Is this ghost so spineless? Just kneel down and beg for mercy? Goddess, I am an innocent ghost. Seeing Ziling, the old ghost was startled for a moment. As if he had seen a glimmer of light, he burst into tears and said, "Although I am a ghost, I have always followed the rules and been moral. I have never harmed a good person. Please, please let me go." But Ziling shook her head and said, "It's a bunch of nonsense, it's unbelievable." Hearing this, the old ghost suddenly became anxious and said, "Goddess, I am really a good ghost. I swear that I will not do bad things from today on. I am willing to make a soul oath. If I, Gaiki, say anything false, my soul will fly away." As he spoke, he opened his mouth, broke off a ghost tooth, put a wisp of ghost into it, held it up with both hands, and said, "Goddess, this is my life tooth. As long as you accept it, my life or death will depend on your thoughts. Please, give me a chance. I really have important things to do. I can't die, I can't die," he cried. I burst into tears, very touching. It made everyone around him a little confused. Is this still that ferocious old ghost? Xialing was also moved in her heart. She could see that this old ghost had indeed refined his life soul into his ghost teeth. Not deception. Moreover, when it made the ghost oath, there was secret power flowing in the dark, and it was not an empty oath. Suddenly, she didn't know what to think of, and with the thought in her mind, Pegasus had already taken her to the old ghost. She reached out, picked up the old ghost's ghost tooth, and took a look. The texture of this ghost tooth doesn't seem to be very good. At the same time, she took out another ghost tooth given by Yungzi and compared it. The quality is really quite different. Sister Yungzi gave it to me. It looks like it is made of the best ice jade. It feels cold and feels good in the hand. But this old ghost's one is a little rougher, almost the same quality as ordinary white jade. If you take it back, you won't be able to give it away, she thought. And when she was looking at Guiya, the old ghost kneeling on the ground looked even more shocked. It looked at the ghost tooth in Xiling's hand, its eyes filled with excitement. Ghost Lord's teeth. He murmured tremblingly. No more today, no need to wait. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 453. The old ghost looked at the tooth in Xiling's hand, and his ghost body was trembling. At this moment, he was extremely excited and shocked. Because the breath on that tooth is so familiar to him. Ghost Lord. The Ghost Master they have been looking for. In the past, the Ghost Lord was suppressed by the Star-Destroying Lord. Later, the Star-Destroying Lord fell, and the Ghost Lord escaped, but did not return to the Ghost Realm. They have been searching for the Ghost Master for almost 100 years, and they have only found some clues here now. Now, the Ghost Lord's ghost teeth appeared before his eyes. Moreover, just by looking at it at this moment, he had already heard a secret language from this ghost tooth, which was unique to the ghost tribe. There is only one place in the secret language of the ghost clan, and the rest is silent. Deep in the wilderness. I understand, the Ghost Master is trapped in the seal, so he can only use this ghost tooth to transmit information and inform us of his location. His heart was surging. At the same time, his heart was also agitated. This girl can actually possess the teeth of the Ghost Lord. The identity of this girl is terrifying. Don't even think about it. Xialing looked at the old ghost's ghost teeth and was thinking about it. Why not take some back? Anyway, it can be given to people in the village as a gadget. It doesn't have much of a summer protection function, so it doesn't matter. Thinking of this, she immediately looked at the old ghost and said with some embarrassment, "Can you give me some more?" Hearing this, the old ghost was startled. Again, give me some more? Ghost teeth? You must know that ghost teeth are the most precious thing on a ghost. Giving one away would already be detrimental to your cultivation. However, at this moment he understood that the situation was not up to anyone. He said with a sad face, "How much do you want? The more the merrier." When the old ghost heard this, he became even more sad and angry. The more, the better. Doesn't this mean that you have to hand over all the ghost teeth? What a bully, too much. If it were normal times, he would rather die in battle. Because if all the ghosts were stripped naked, it would be impossible to live in the ghost world. It would be a great shame. But now, I just learned the news about the Ghost Lord. The important thing has not been accomplished, and the Ghost Master has not been rescued, so we must endure the humiliation and bear the heavy burden. He gritted his teeth and suddenly punched himself in the mouth. Then, the ghost teeth fell out one after another. He trembled, held up all his ghost teeth, and said, "My Yaji is here, please spare me, I'm such a devil." He spoke, it was a little breathy at the moment. When Xialing saw this, she immediately put away her ghost teeth, then suddenly took out her writing brush and said, "Do not move." Then, she picked up the brush and wrote 4 big red characters on the old ghost's forehead. "Be a good ghost." At this moment, the old ghost felt a bang in his head, as if a secret power had entered his sea of consciousness. These 4 words seemed to form a kind of restriction. If you violate these 4 words, you may lose your soul. His grimace was extremely ugly. This goddess didn't trust herself. He could only sigh. After Xialing finished writing, she put away her pen, smiled and patted the old ghost on the shoulder, saying, "Be a good ghost and don't hurt anyone, otherwise you will die. You go." Mainly, this ghost looks really pitiful. Xialing was a little bit unable to be a killer. Moreover, he said that he was a good ghost, and when he triggered the ghost oath, he was not robbed. It seemed that he was right. Now she has placed another prohibition. If this old ghost has evil thoughts, it will be triggered. Hearing this, the old ghost felt like he was being pardoned. He stood up quickly and turned into a gust of wind, disappearing directly. "Sister Xiling, you are so amazing." Mu Wanqing walked over excitedly, her face full of admiration. "Nothing." Xiling smiled and said, "Sister Wanqing, let me give you a ghost tooth. Master said you can take it with you to escape the heat. The quality of this one is a little bit off, so you can use it for now. When we find a better one later, we can give it to you." Xialing spoke sweetly. She picked up a ghost tooth and handed it to Mu Wanqing. Mu Wanqing took the ghost tooth and was stunned for a moment. Ghost Fang, to escape the heat? Her heart was extremely complicated. This was a rare treasure, and it was pulled out from the mouth of such a powerful ghost. In Sister Xiling's opinion, it's just something used to escape the heat, and the quality doesn't seem to be up to par. She deeply felt that her life as a queen would be impossible. At this moment, countless sects around him finally reacted. After the old ghost left, the coercion disappeared, and many people who were paralyzed on the ground gained strength. Who is this girl? She has absolutely nothing to do with ghosts. Pegasus will only recognize the pure and pure as its master. Moreover, the scroll in her hand is enough to frighten evil spirits. The scroll that just emitted was clearly a kind of supreme sacred energy. There is a god behind her, it must be an extremely powerful god. At this moment, everyone spoke one after another. "May I ask the goddess, what is the title of the god behind you? From today on, our divine medicine sect is willing to change the court to serve the god behind you." The leader of the divine medicine sect knelt down and spoke. His eyes are full of passion. They used to worship Liu Yang God, but now, Liu Yang God can't even stand up to an old ghost, and it's useless. The god behind this girl is obviously much more powerful than the Green Sun God. If you need to hug her, you should hug her. We are all willing to do so. Goddess, we are willing to follow you. Please accept us, we are willing to contribute our power. Seeing the divine medicine sect kneeling down, countless other sects started to speak. Yang Dingtian even ran over and knelt down, with a flattering look on his face, and said, "Goddess, our Yang Gui dynasty captured this Pegasus from the underworld and now dedicates it to you. We are willing to become your God-serving sect, okay?" His eyes are full of hope. "If you hug this thigh, it will be too stable." Hearing this, Xialing looked towards Yang Dingtian. "Yang Gui dynasty." She suddenly spoke and said, "The person in charge of arresting yin spirits in your Yang Gui dynasty is called Ancestor Tianxian." Hearing this, Yang Dingtian was startled for a moment, but said hurriedly, Yes, Elder Tianqian is the guardian elder of our Yang dynasty. This goddess actually recognizes Tianqian? Great. But Ziling's big eyes suddenly became angry. While in the underworld, the saying of Yang disaster has always been spread in the underworld. People from the upper world invade the underworld and capture those special yin spirits. In the 30 million years of the underworld, countless ghosts from the underworld were captured. In the end, Patriarch Tianqian even planned a big conspiracy to destroy the underworld. Although looking back now, Patriarch Tianqian is just an ant, but in the past, he caused great disasters to the underworld again and again. After all, the heavenly world in the underworld is more complete and has the path of the divine way. Compared with the underworld is too weak. The Yang dynasty's sins are unforgivable. Ziling spoke. She is kind-hearted and innocent, but not ignorant. The hands of the Yang dynasty are stained with the blood of the underworld, and she will not forget it. Hearing this, Yang Dingtian's expression changed drastically. Does this goddess have a grudge against the dynasty? No. He knew very well what Ziling's words now meant to the Yang dynasty. What a disaster! Suddenly, he gritted his teeth and grabbed Ziling's big hand. As a hero, he is determined. Since he is destined to die, he might as well fight. Moreover, he could see that the girl in front of him was only in the perfect state of harmony. However, in an instant, Xiling turned into a ray of light and disappeared from the place. Tianma carried Xiling and avoided it. How brave Yang Dingtian, how dare you attack the goddess? At this moment, people from other sects were already furious. Xian Shui sect Mo Xian suddenly struck out with a palm. Ah! Yang Dingtian screamed and turned into powder. He died. Mo Xian stepped forward, knelt down, and said, "From today on, we are willing to respect all the will of the goddess." Others also shouted in unison. Ziling saw Yang Dingtian's death indifferently. She knew that the cause and effect between the Yang dynasty and the underworld was settled today. The emperor is dead, and the dynasty will be destroyed in an instant. Goddess, we are willing to destroy all statues immediately and erect a statue for the god behind you. Mo Xian then spoke, his face very hot. Ziling glanced at the countless people from Donghuang sect present and said, "My master doesn't care about your statues." After speaking, she looked at Mu Wangking and said, "Sister Wangking, I'm going back first." Mu Wangking nodded and said, "Thank you, Sister Xiling." Xiling is like a goddess from the 9 heavens, riding on a Pegasus horse. Everyone in the field looked at each other in shock. Got rejected. Mo Xian suddenly thought of something, knelt down towards Mu Wangking and said, "See the Wood Emperor, our sect is willing to become a vassal of your country." Seeing this, others also reacted. "Yes, although you can't take refuge with the Purple Ling goddess, but if you can take refuge with the Wood Spirit dynasty, it will be the same." Suddenly everyone knelt down. Mu Wangking was stunned for a moment, but then she took a deep breath. "Okay, everyone, then come with me back to the Wood Spirit dynasty today." Hearing this, everyone was ecstatic. Immediately, countless sects followed Mu Wangking to the Muling dynasty. However, when entering the capital of the Muling dynasty, a decree suddenly appeared and illuminated everyone. Countless speculators and people with evil intentions were cut off from cultivation and even lost their lives. Punish evil and promote good. This is the purpose of the law. No evil person can sneak in. Congratulations to everyone. From now on, we can work together for the Lord of Desolate Heaven. Mu Wangking looked at the few people who survived and spoke calmly. Everyone knelt down and chanted the name of the Lord of Desolate Heaven. In an instant, the Muling dynasty became famous in the eastern wasteland, unparalleled in the limelight, and invincible. The news quickly spread to the entire Great Ruins world. And at this moment, the dark wind blows. Goichi hurried on, wiping the words on his forehead with increasing force as he hurried on. However, he was shocked to find that no matter what method he used, those 4 words could not be removed. Damn it, I don't believe it, I tried my best. He was anxious. If he kept staring at these 4 words, how could he still hang out in the ghost world? Why go out and meet people? No, what the hell? Shame. He lit a will-o'-the-wisp and enjoyed the words will-o'-the-wisp burning. But, it still doesn't work. Damn it, what kind of words are these? What kind of ink is this? It doesn't matter if you can write on a ghost's body, but you can't get rid of such a monster. He just wanted to cry. He has simply become a shame to the ghost world. Weeping, he finally arrived at a mass grave. No, we can't let ghosts see me like this. He activated the yin qi to condense, forming a ghost mask and put it on his face. Then, with a wave of his hand, all the ghost soldiers within 100 miles radius gathered instantly. There are 100 people. When the ghosts saw that the old ghost was actually wearing a mask, they were a little confused, but they didn't ask anything. Commander, what's going on? Has Pegasus been caught? The starving man asked as he was eating something. Goichi said excitedly. Pegasus didn't stop, but I have already arrived at the traces of Lord Ghost Ancestor, I know where he is. He spoke excitedly, but what he said was unflattering. Everyone was deceived. The hanged ghost was a little stunned and said, Commander, where are your teeth? Magpie, are you going to die early? Goichi immediately became furious, like a cat that had been stepped on and had a sore foot. He grabbed the hanged man by the throat and stared at him fiercely. I don't know anything, I don't know anything. The hanged man was immediately frightened. Goichi then put down the hanged ghost and said, Xuanhuan, go to the burial forest wilderness, my lord, go early. They set off immediately. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 454. In the God Burial Wasteland. A group of ghosts are passing through today. Gaiki led countless troops to the wilderness. Commander, the aura in this God Burial Wasteland seems to be able to affect even our ghost bodies. The starving ghost was a little worried and said, Why did Lord Ghost come here? There is nothing delicious here at first glance. The hanged ghost's scarlet tongue hung long and said, Ignorance, since the ghost lord is here, it means there must be something in this wilderness that attracts him. As he said that, he looked at Goichi again in confusion and said, Commander, why do you like to wear a mask? You didn't do this before. Gaiki's grimace suddenly turned black and he said, I'm a porridge, but Yunu has nothing to offer. He spoke, breaking the wind. Finally, this bunch of ghosts went deeper and deeper into the wilderness. They found a valley. There is a gurgling stream in the valley, which is extremely cold. Following the stream, they soon discovered the outlet of the stream. It was a cave in the cliff, extremely dark. It's just for here. Goichi suddenly became excited. The location he got from Goichi was here. Kill you. He shouted loudly, and immediately, white flags appeared in the hands of a group of ghosts. That's the soul calling flag. They want to set up a spiritual summoning array to awaken the ghost master. The white flags danced wildly, and the sinister wind swept over. In an instant, it was like the cries of countless evil ghosts, and the low murmur of a ghost mother sounded in the ears. Tien and Ghost Lord. Tien and Ghost Lord. Thin and broken sounds came and went, like calls from the underworld, and the entire valley was shrouded in ghostly energy. And as they called, suddenly, a black mist poured out of the cave. Lord Ghost Lord. Lord Ghost Lord. Seeing this, all the ghosts were extremely excited. However, when the ghost mist wanted to come out, it was blocked by some mysterious lines. There was a mysterious power barrier that sealed everything. Geikie, I can't get through. In the ghostly mist, an urgent voice sounded. Before, the existence in the ghost mist had already breached the barrier once in order to convey information, which consumed too much ghost power, and also lost a ghost tooth, which greatly damaged its vitality. Now, he can't even give away a ghost tooth, let alone talk about it. Don't panic, Ghost Team Sama, I'm here to save you. Geikie roared, triggering a large formation to bombard this mysterious barrier. However, no matter how many ghosts screamed and ghosts trembled, this barrier remained motionless. Extremely difficult. I don't believe it, I must save the thick man. Goichi went crazy, and a finger bone appeared in his hand. That finger bone exudes terrifying power. This is a big figure from the ghosts. In the past, that big figure had a good relationship with the Ghost Lord, so when they set out to find the Ghost Lord, they were given this thing. It contains the power of that big man. Break. All the ghost power of Goichi was injected into his finger bones. In an instant, like a terrifying ghost king who was worshipped by 9 heavens and 10 earths, he blasted a finger towards this barrier. This finger is enough to twist the world. However, when he dropped his finger and shattered his finger bones, the barrier remained motionless. How can this be? Can't it be blasted away like this? All the ghosts were shocked and despaired at the same time. This is already their strongest method. There is a strange power contained in this barrier, which is very scary. I'm afraid that even if the Ghost King comes, there will be nothing you can do. Within the barrier, the existence in the ghost mist seemed to be in despair at this moment. I, Tianan, have been invincible all my life, but I am trapped and die here. Outside, Goichi looked crazy in his eyes. Even if I burn out all the will-o'-the-wisps, I will still let the Onigumi-sama get rough. His will-o'-the-wisp is burning, and he works hard to lead the will-o'-the-wisp to burn the barrier. Commander! No! All the ghosts exclaimed, because this was burning their souls, and I was afraid that Goichi would be gone in an instant. The key is, no matter how green the will-o'-the-wisps dance, the barrier is still hard to damage. It's so despairing. Because this barrier contains a strange power, it seems that nothing in the world can break it. Ah! The ghost power was so chaotic that it could no longer maintain the ghost fire at this moment. Even the mask condensed with ghost energy on his face could not be maintained and dissipated immediately. But on his forehead, the 4 vermilion words suddenly emitted a supreme energy. Be a good ghost. At this moment, those ink marks seemed to sense some kind of provocation in the barrier and glowed brightly. It's like a confrontation between two substances. Boom! In an instant, the barrier containing a strange aura suddenly burst through. That weird aura was wiped away. There was a huge earthquake in the valley, the ground shook, and the entire cliff where the cave was located exploded. It was as if the door blocking another world was shattered, and a secret realm appeared behind the cliff. The primitive breath rushed out wildly, which was heart-stopping. There seemed to be shocking ancient vines in the gray sky, crossing the star field. It was a terrifying secret place. At this moment, the ghost mist trapped in it surged out instantly. Ha 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 ha. My sky is dark, reappearing in the world. A piercing shout, filled with joy and arrogance, instantly resounded throughout the valley. In that ghostly mist, an extraordinary ghost walked out. Wearing a black robe and with ghost patterns carved on his forehead, he looks like a heroic hero from ancient times, walking like a dragon and a tiger. The Lord Ghost is out. See the Lord Ghost. See the Lord Ghost. In an instant, all the ghosts shouted in surprise and knelt down to salute. As for Goichi, his ghost body was extremely weak at the moment, but he was still extremely excited when he saw the Ghost Master Tianan. "Lord Ghost Ancestor, you are finally here." The Ghost Lord Tianese has already arrived and smiled. "You deserve a lot of credit for my being able to come out." At the same time, he said with great confusion, "How did you erase that weird barrier?" He looked at Goichi's face. Just now, it seemed that there was some energy on Goichi's head that shattered the strange barrier. But the next moment, Tianan Ghost Lord was stunned. 4 big red characters. "Be a good ghost?" Tianan was confused. What is going on? The other ghosts also looked over, equally surprised. What is this? Who the hell is writing on the commander's forehead? The reason why the Lord Commander wears a mask is because he has these 4 words on his forehead, so he can't see ghosts. The ghosts were surprised. At this moment, Goichi felt that he was so ashamed. As a generation of fierce ghosts, one day he was so embarrassed and humiliated. But at this moment, Tianan Ghost Master suddenly thought of something, and said with great solemnity, Who wrote this for you?" Goichi said with a sad face. "A girl in a purple skirt." He immediately told what happened in Sanshenzo. "Master Goiziu, I saw the things you sent away in the forest, so I knew you were trapped here." Goichi added, but he did not directly say the word ghost teeth, but replaced it with that thing. After all, losing ghost teeth would be too embarrassing in the ghost world. "I have to save face for the Lord Ghost." Hearing this, the ghosts around were shocked. In Sanshenzo, something like this actually happened. There are people in this small world who can actually suppress the leader. It's too much, it's too much. I actually took away all the ghost teeth from the Lord Commander. You are still writing on the commander's forehead, that girl is too scary. When all the ghosts exclaimed, they all felt the ghost's teeth go cold and shuddered. Who is this person? He actually likes Gia. The key is that he is so strong that he can't even defeat the commander. If she meets her, wouldn't it be the end? However, after Tianan Ghost Master heard this, he took a breath of air. I see. Someone made a big deal. His expression was extremely solemn. First, I sent someone to find me here and asked me to send a ghost tooth, and then I went to find you to let you know that I am here, and with your hands, I opened the ceiling barrier here. He murmured. He already felt that this was a big conspiracy, and there was someone behind the scenes controlling everything. This enemy is very terrifying. Every move he makes seems to be unintentional, but in fact, he is destined to be killed. Hearing this, Goichi was also shocked. Were he and others being taken advantage of? Tianan Gijun was thinking, and suddenly, he glanced at the 4 words on Goichi's forehead. Be a good ghost, are these the words this person used to warn me? Is he threatening me? If I mess around and disobey, he will kill me. Thinking of this, his expression suddenly changed. As a generation of ghost masters, have you ever received such a threat in the past? It's simply unbearable. Master Ghost Lord, what should we do now? Hearing this, Tianan Ghost Lord gritted his teeth and said, Humph, this person wants to use us, and I want to use him too. This secret place contains great opportunities and is full of strange auras. Now this person has given these 4 words to provide us with shelter. Let's go, follow me and fight back to seize the opportunity. When the time comes, I will let the mastermind behind the scenes shoot myself in the foot. He spoke in a deep voice. He wanted to make the other party understand that he, the heavenly dark ghost lord, was not easy to manipulate. And at this moment, in this canyon, because the barrier was destroyed, countless auras rushed out. The entire wilderness was shaken by it. Countless birds and beasts fled wildly, and a huge beast tide occurred. The outside world was shocked. The vast expanse of the great ruins. Distant Zhongzhou. In a majestic palace somewhere. An old man who was practicing in seclusion finally gained something today after practicing for a long time and woke up from trance. His hair was gray, his eyes were burning, and his aura was very extraordinary. When he opened his eyes, he sighed and walked out of the hall. "Dad, today is Yun 11's death anniversary. Do you want to visit her grave?" A middle-aged man with majestic eyes came over, with a trace of sadness on his face. "No more today, no need to wait." Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 455. In the god burial wasteland, a terrifying aura emanated. The ferocious beast alarmed the entire wilderness. Birds and beasts ran wildly, even rushing out of the god burial wasteland, and broke into the territory of human cultivators, causing great disasters. At the same time, the evil aura in the wilderness increased dozens of times, spreading out to the outside world and shaking the eastern wasteland. There is something strange happening in the god burial wasteland. What happened? Has something terrible happened? For a time, everyone in the world was shocked. And at this moment, the Muling dynasty. In front of the palace is the old grapevine, the ancestral spirit of the dynasty. Since receiving the spiritual soil to extend his life, Lao Teng has been evolving. Nowadays, the old vines can no longer even be described as old because they are so lush that there are even bunches of small grapes hanging between the vines. Lao Teng's realm has even broken through to the realm of refining gods. This made Mu Wanking and others extremely happy. But today, the old vine suddenly shook and the shadows were chaotic. Mu Wanking and others hurried over. "Sacrifice to the spirit, what happened?" Mu Rantian asked nervously. "There is something incredible deep in the wilderness, and it's about to come out. Go quickly, quickly find the Lord of Desolate Sky. Only he can control it." Lao Teng's words were full of panic. It is a seed brought from the depths of the wilderness, and it has some special memories of the depths of the wilderness. Hearing this, Mu Wanking was surprised. The dynasty had received news of the great wild beast tide. She never thought that it would be so serious. "I'm going right away." She spoke. In the great ruins realm, in a place shrouded in clouds and mist, which is difficult for ordinary people to enter, there is a fairy palace on a mountain peak. Fortunately, that old ghost didn't chase us that day, otherwise, I'm afraid we would have been doomed. Liu Yangyushan's face turned pale and he spoke happily. "That old ghost is too scary. We are no match for him. It's over. When this ghost comes out, no one can beat him." Xuanhuan's face was extremely ugly, his aura was extremely weak, and half of his soul was sucked away by the old ghost. The true God hasn't responded to this matter yet, hey. Since they escaped here, they immediately reported the situation to the true God they followed. Report. At this time, a servant from outside came in and said, "Two high gods, we just received news that something happened in Donghuang. In the god burial wasteland, an indescribable existence appears, with overwhelming energy." The expressions of the two wandering gods changed. God burial wasteland. That was a place where even the gods fell. "Let's go and report this to the true God." Liu Yangyushan spoke directly. They entered a secret palace. There is a statue of a god enshrined in this secret hall. This statue looks majestic and has a vague charm, which is definitely not comparable to the statue of the wandering god. This is the statue of the true god Xuanhuan. They started the god summoning ceremony. Different from the wandering god's realm is not enough. Although the Dharma body has some of the power of the wandering god, it is still only made of incense, and the main body cannot be manifested with the help of the Dharma body. But the true God can truly manifest, and you can obtain the true God's response through a special God calling ceremony. Above the statue, a burst of light flickered. A faint shadow suddenly appeared. "What are you calling me for?" The shadow spoke. Reporting to the true god of Xuanhuan, something has happened in the god burial wilderness that you have been keeping our attention on. There is something indescribable happening in it. After hearing this, the true god seemed to ponder for a long time. Haha, it's a bit interesting. First, a person suspected of being the ghost master of Tianese appeared, and now something appears in the god burial wasteland. You don't need to get involved in this matter, just keep paying attention. After saying that, the true god Xuanhuan disappeared directly. Xuanhuan and Liu Yang looked at each other in shock. And at this moment, in the vast void of the universe, the star realm is like a sky full of fireflies, emitting a faint light in the cold universe. The star realms are like countless sands scattered on a black curtain. Occasionally, many star realms surround each other, forming huge star wheels. Between the intertwined star wheels, huge galaxies are formed. In the galaxies, among them, the eternal realm is like a lamp, illuminating a corner of the universe. Now, in the void of the universe, on a certain piece of floating land, several beings sit cross-legged, absorbing the starlight of all realms, standing high above, looking down indifferently at the many star realms below the floating soil. Suddenly, one of them opened his eyes and said, "There are changes in the great ruins realm." Suddenly, several people looked at him. A few days ago, an old ghost appeared and could easily kill the wandering gods. It should be the men of the ghost master Tianan. Now, something has appeared in the vast wasteland of the great ruins realm, which is suspected to be a forbidden land. I suspect it has something to do with the Sky Dark Ghost Lord. This person is clearly the true god of Xuanhuan. It has been nearly 100 years since the ghost master Tianan escaped from the prison, and he has finally been found. Another person spoke and sneered. "Should we take action and capture this beast?" But the leader suddenly said in a deep voice. Confused. "Our mission is to find it. This ghost is of great use to the Lord of God, so don't be alarmed. Keep an eye on this world and I will report the news." Now, Zhongzhou, the main hall of the Yun family. "Dad, today is Yun 11's death anniversary. Do you want to visit her grave?" The middle-aged man who spoke was suddenly the head of the Yun family, the most prominent family in Zhongzhou, Yun Yinshan. The old man is Yun Yinshan's father, Yun Qianshan. Hearing the middle-aged man's words, a flash of pain flashed across Yun Qianshan's face. "Okay, let's go see Yungzi." They set off together immediately. As the only daughter of the Yun family, Yun 11 has always been the apple of the Yun family's eye. After she disappeared 3 years ago because she escaped from marriage, the family could not find her. Later, her soul lamp was extinguished. When the soul lamp goes out, it means that she is dead and has disappeared from this world. There is no more her in this world. The entire Yun family was extremely grieved and could only build a tomb for Yun 11. The tomb is located on Yunwu Mountain, the most beautiful place in the Yun family. It is blessed by a large magic circle, so the 4 seasons are like spring and the roses are always blooming. Yungzi loved roses the most when she was alive. In the mountain full of roses, a solitary tomb stood shining brightly. There was a trace of moisture in Yun Yinshan's eyes, and he murmured. If it hadn't been for that marriage, Yungzi might not have died. Beside him, Yun Qianshan also sighed and said, "It's all my fault, I shouldn't have helped her escape." Back then, it was he who loved Yun 11 so much that he couldn't help but secretly help Yun 11 escape from the Yun family. Now he only regrets that if he had to do it over again, he would rather let Yungzi marry into the Zhan family than die. The two were silent for a long time. Yun Yinshan picked a bouquet of the most beautiful roses and placed it in front of Yungzi's tombstone before leaving. "Does the Zhan family accept the new marriage?" Leaving Yunwu Mountain, Yun Qianshan asked. In the past, the marriage between the Yun family and the Zhan family was the will of Yun Yangyushan of their Yun family. After Yun 11 escaped, the relationship between the Yun family and the Zhan family deteriorated for a time. In recent years, the Yun family has tried its best to reconcile, and even started to arrange a new marriage. Because the marriage between the Yun family and the Zhan family seems to be related to some spiritual struggle. Yunyang, the Yun family's travel god, seems to need the support of Zhan Bai, the Zhan family's travel god. This made the Yun family very passive. Yun Yinshan nodded and said, "It's almost time." Yunkin's physique is very strong, and the Zhan family is quite satisfied. Yunqin is the adopted daughter of the Yun family. Yunkin grew up with Yungzi and they share a love for each other. After Yungzi escaped, Yunkin volunteered and was willing to marry the Zhan family on behalf of Yungzi. Over the years, the Yun family has cultivated Yunkin, and Yunkin has become a well-known proud daughter of heaven in Zhongzhou. I would like to inform the patriarch, the elder Xuanhuan, and the young patriarch Zhan Shaoling to pay a visit. At this time, a housekeeper came quickly to report. Hearing this, Yun Yinshan was immediately happy. Xuanhuan is the supreme elder of the Zhan family. He actually brought Zhan Shaoling with him this time. It is very likely that they are discussing marriage. "Dad, I'm going to see Elder Zhan first." Yun Yinshan spoke and left immediately. Later, Yun Qianshan returned to his palace. In his palace, there were 2 rose flowers. These 2 flowers were planted by Yungzi for him 3 years ago. 11 Girl, Grandpa misses you. There was no one here, so he stretched out his old hand and wiped the tears from his eyes. He sat at the desk a little lonely, recalling that when Yun 11 was still there, he often had a lot of fun here and made a mess of what he was practicing. He absent-mindedly took out a crystal. This communication crystal was specially used to communicate with Yungzi. He had kept it because the communication crystal contained several voices that Yungzi transmitted 3 years ago. "Grandpa, I ran to Donghuang. Grandpa, the family members are looking for me. I'm going to hide in the mountains and forests. But the mountains and forests here are so strange, a bit like the god burial wasteland you mentioned." He didn't know how many times he heard these voice messages, and he cried every time. Injecting spiritual power, the voice of the girl in the communication crystal came. "Grandpa, I'm back." As the voice fell, Yun Qianshan was suddenly shaken. He stared at the communication crystal in his hand. What? His eyes were wide open, his hands were trembling a little, and he murmured, "Did I hear wrongly? Am I delusional?" His heart beat violently, he was extremely nervous, and he hurriedly injected spiritual power again. "Grandpa, I'm back. Grandpa, I'm back." It's Yungzi's voice. He heard it right. At this moment, Yun Qianshan felt a surge of blood in his heart, and he became extremely excited. He stood up and said, "My 11 girl, isn't dead. No, I have to go see her soul lamp." Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 456. In the main hall of the Yun family, Yun Yinshan was entertaining an old man and a young man. The old man's extraordinary aura and divine light were none other than the supreme elder of the Zhan family, Xuanhuan, one of the 2 most powerful families in Zhongzhou. The young man next to him, as handsome as jade and elegant, showed a warm smile while drinking tea. He gave people the impression that he was a handsome gentleman. He is the legitimate son of the Zhan family, Zhan Shaoling. This time, they came in person. "Master Yun, I'll get right to the point." Xuanhuan smiled slightly and said directly, "I'm here this time on behalf of the head of the family, to deliver the marriage certificate and the betrothal gift. There were some minor incidents 3 years ago, which caused the marriage between your family and my family to be postponed to this day. Our Zhan family also believes that it is time to restart the engagement." Yun Yinshan was immediately overjoyed. In this way, the Zhan family and the Yun family have formed an alliance. Good. Yun Yinchan opened his mouth, waved his hand and said. Go and ask Miss Yunkin to come up. According to ancient rites, the man and woman will also meet when the wedding letter and betrothal gift are given. Soon, a girl walked up. She was dressed in a white dress, with a graceful figure and a light gait. There seemed to be a naughty and cute smile hanging on the corner of her mouth, and her eyebrows were dignified and delicate. She walked up, and everyone in the venue was also a little surprised. This woman looks like Yun 11. Zhan Shaoling couldn't help but feel slightly absent-minded. He had seen Yungzi once, and he would never forget that shocking sight. Now, when he saw this girl, he had the illusion of seeing another Yun 11. Even Yun 11's naughty and cute expression was very similar. Yes, it is rumored that Yun Qin and Yun 11 have been very close since childhood. They grew up together. She and Yun 11 look alike, which is normal. He muttered. This is my little girl Yunkin. Yun Yinchan smiled slightly and said. Yun Qin, please meet Elder Xuanhuan and young Master Zhan Shaoling soon. Upon hearing this, the girl in the white dress immediately saluted Xuanhuan and Zhan Shaoling. She looked at Zhan Shaoling, a flash of brilliance flashed in her beautiful eyes, and an unparalleled joy filled her heart. He's here, with a marriage certificate. She had met Zhan Shaoling once. That time, she was with Yun 11, and when she saw Zhan Shaoling, she fell in love at first sight, because she had never seen such a stunning man. Zhan Shaoling is the ultimate genius in Zhongzhou. He awakened the Xianming battle body at the age of 14. He reached the realm of the Holy Path at the age of 16. He defeated all the geniuses of his generation in Zhongzhou at the age of 18. He is known as the #1 young man in Zhongzhou. After the age of 18, he has no record of success and is famous all over the world, because there is no one of his generation in Zhongzhou who is worthy of his attack. Invincible in battle but as gentle as jade, Zhan Shaoling is definitely an extremely charming man, and it's hard not to make a girl fall in love with him. However, during that meeting, Zhan Shaoling didn't even look at her. His eyes are all on Yungzi. She was devastated. When Yungzi and Zhan Shaoling got engaged, she became even more desperate. It wasn't until later that Yun 11 disappeared in order to escape from marriage. At that time, she actually felt secretly happy because she finally had a chance. She proposed to her family that she was willing to replace Yun 11 and complete the marriage. 3 years. Now, this man who once amazed her soul was right in front of her. But when Zhan Shaoling felt Yun Qin's gaze, his heart moved. You are imitating her, but you are not her after all. There is never admiration for anyone in Yun 11's eyes. Zhan Shaoling sighed slightly in his heart. As the proud son of Zhongzhou, he had won the favor of too many girls, and he was already tired of their admiration. In comparison, the Yungzi I have ever seen is the most unique. But it doesn't matter. As the legitimate son of the Zhan family, he is by no means a person who indulges in the love of his children. Moreover, this marriage with the Yun family has other purposes. He smiled slightly, as warm as the spring breeze, and said politely. I've met Miss Yunkin. Immediately, the two parties exchanged marriage certificates. Good. Xuanhuan also laughed and said. I think it's not too late for the wedding. How about it being held within this month? Yun Yinchan smiled and said. Sure. Both sides smiled happily. Report. At this moment, a voice came from outside, and a messenger rushed in and said. There is a big change in the eastern wasteland. A mysterious being in the god burial wilderness took action and destroyed the eastern wilderness Muling dynasty. Now the eastern wilderness has abandoned its worship of the two wandering gods Liu Yang and Xuanhuan. Furthermore, a huge beast wave has occurred in the god burial wasteland, and it is suspected that a treasure has been born. Hearing this, everyone present was even more shocked. What? Such a big thing happened in Donghuang. Yun Yinshan took a breath of air. This is definitely an earth-shattering event. The god burial wasteland involves many ancient secrets and is a taboo place in the entire Great Ruins realm. Even the gods fell in it. Now, there is an unfathomable existence born. Moreover, as soon as he took action, the eastern wasteland changed its flag. Even the places of incense of Xuanhuan traveling god and Liu Yang traveling god were taken away. Go and invite my father. Yun Yinshan spoke. Soon, Yun Qianshan had already entered the main hall. His face was very calm, and all the excitement and joy had been hidden in his heart. The news that Yun 11 is still alive cannot be known to the Zhan family for the time being. Father, there is a big change in the eastern wasteland, we have to go see it. Yun Yinshan spoke solemnly. Yun Qianshan had also heard about what happened in Donghuang and said, I'll go there myself. Not only to investigate this matter, but more importantly, he wanted to find Yun 11. After all, the words Yun 11 sent back did not tell him where she was. Yun Qianshan guessed that she should still be in the eastern wasteland, or even in the god burial wilderness. Hearing this, Yun Yinshan was surprised. Yun Qianshan goes there in person? But, he nodded immediately. This is a serious matter, and we, the Zhan family, need to pay attention to it. Head of the Yun family, let's take our leave now. At this time, Xuanhuan also spoke solemnly. Yun Yinshan nodded and said, Elder Zhan, walk slowly. Miss Yunkin, I'll see you again in a few days. Before leaving, Zhan Shaoling smiled politely and spoke to Yunkin. Yunkin was filled with joy and nodded shyly. They left. At this time, Yun Yinshan suddenly asked, Father, why do you want to go to Donghuang in person? Yun Qianshan was silent for a moment and finally said, Yungzi girl, is not dead. As soon as these words came out, Yun Yinshan was shocked. Yun Qin, who was next to him, froze even more and suddenly raised his head, his eyes full of incredulity. What did you say? Yun Yinshan stood up immediately, with an incredible look on his face. Yun Qianshan said, Yungzi sent me a message. He took out the crystal and injected it with spiritual power, and Yun 11's voice suddenly sounded. Grandpa, I'm back. Hearing this voice, Yun Yinshan immediately trembled. The 7-foot man actually had tears rolling down his eyes at this moment. My 11 is not dead. It's her voice. He was extremely excited. He didn't notice that at this moment, Yun Qin behind him had a look of despair on his pretty face, as if he were mourning for a concubine. There was even a trace of resentment flashing across his eyes. I have seen Yungzi's soul lamp and rekindled it. Yun Qianshan continued to speak and said, the soul lamp was extinguished and rekindled. After thinking about it, I am afraid that this kind of power can only be found in the extremely evil god burial wasteland, so, I must go. Not just for the changes that happened in the eastern wasteland, but also for Yungzi. Yun Yinshan took a deep breath and said, I will go with you. But Yun Qianshan shook his head and said, no, you have to stay. The overall situation of the family needs someone to take care of it. Yun Yinshan loves his daughter eagerly, but he knows that the responsibility lies on his shoulders, so he can only nod helplessly at this moment. Grandfather. At this time, Yun Qin suddenly stood up. She tried her best to show a caring look on her face and said, I'm so happy that Sister Yungzi is still alive. I'll go with you. She was extremely sincere. Yun Qianshan thought for a moment, then nodded and said, good. Soon, the Yun family will set off, heading towards the eastern wasteland. The news from Donghuang has spread throughout Zhongzhou, and now that the Yun family has taken action, it has attracted countless attention. There must be a big change in the eastern wasteland, we have to go and see. Something that even the Yun family cares about. It is very likely to be related to the rise and fall of the entire Great Ruins realm. Countless dynasties, aristocratic families, sects, etc. set off. At the same time, Zhongzhou Zanjia. In front of the main hall of the Zhan family, there is a huge statue. It is a majestic man holding a Fangtian war halberd, as if he is contemptuous of the world. This is the statue of the wandering god of the Zhan family, Zhan Bai. At this moment, in the main hall, master of the family, Yun Qianshan of the Yun family personally took action. The changes in the eastern wasteland seem to be extremely extraordinary, and we should go immediately. Xuanhuan reported to a middle-aged man above him. In the hand of the middle-aged man, he was rubbing a small halberd made of divine iron. It was only a long thumb, but it exuded extraordinary energy. His face was as calm water, as if nothing could move him. He is the head of the Zhan family, Zhan Shaoling's father, Zhan Yuanpeng. At this moment, a cold light flashed in his eyes. The things in Donghuang are not the most important. He raised his eyes, looked at Xuanhuan, and said, "Elder Wanren, please go there in person. If possible, Yun Qianshan had better not return to Zhongzhou alive." The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Hearing this, Xuanhuan was startled. Zhan Yuanpeng's intention was to make him secretly killed Yun Qianshan? The marriage with the Yun family is nothing more than to obtain the original principles of the Great Ruins realm. After powerful people like Yun Qianshan die, the Yun family can control it better. He spoke calmly, looked at Zhan Shaoling who was standing aside, and said, "Do you understand?" Zhan Shaoling smiled back and said, "My child understands. My child believes that the Yun family's tragic loss in Yun Qianshan requires a happy event to complement it. I will be a good son-in-law of the Yun family." Zhan Yuanpeng smiled. The Zhan family's troops also set off, led by Xuanhuan himself. The eyes of the world are gathered in Donghuang. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 457. God Burial Wasteland. Zi Ling rode a Pegasus, like a fairy from the nine heavens, galloping over. Falling outside the small mountain village. Be good, follow me. Zi Ling led Shui Baimei into the small village and all the way to the small courtyard. "Master, I'm back." Zi Ling opened her mouth, knocked on the door, and then pushed the door open and entered. In the small courtyard, Li Fan had nothing to do and was teaching Yun 11 how to play chess. Xiangqi is much simpler than Go. It is a casual puzzle game. Yungzi fell in love with it as soon as she came into contact with it, and pestered Li Fan to play one game after another with her. Hearing Zi Ling's voice at this moment, everyone looked over. I saw Xiling, leading a white horse. There is absolutely no color on the white horse, and it looks very powerful. There seems to be invisible Taoist patterns lingering between the four hooves. A pair of big eyes as big as copper bells were looking at the small courtyard curiously and timidly. This, a horse. No, this is no ordinary horse. It feels very auspicious, with its feet stepping on auspicious clouds. Is this the rare animal brought back by senior sister Xiling? It was an accident for Nanfan, Zhang Li, and others. Wu Dade even said to the big black dog, "Damn dog, what's the origin of this horse?" The big black dog said solemnly, "Ignorant pet, this is Pegasus. Having the world's fastest speed, it grows so fast that it can transcend time and space. Even death and cause and effect cannot catch up with it. Hey, I didn't expect that I also died in the past and was reborn as a yin spirit." It sighed slightly. Hearing this, a group of disciples were even more shocked. Pegasus. The world is extremely fast, causation, death, etc. cannot catch up with its pace. This speed seems to have transcended the scope of space. From today on, who can catch up with senior sister Xiling? Everyone has complicated expressions. Master, I'm back. This pony is a rare animal. Xiling spoke to Li Fan. Li Fan also stood up, walked over, and looked at it curiously. Not bad, not bad. He has strong limbs, a well-proportioned frame, and a sharp gaze. He is a good horse among horses. Li Fan praised. He has learned the art of horse drawing, and he can tell the pros and cons at a glance. Once this horse is raised, it might become a BMW that travels thousands of miles every day. When the pony saw Li Fan, he couldn't help but step forward. His big copper bell-like eyes looked at Li Fan, seeming to be very close to him. Li Fan smiled and touched the horse's head. The pony immediately kicked up its hooves with joy, as if it was extremely happy. This pony is also very understanding of human nature. Xiling, you can raise this horse. Li Fan spoke. I obey, master. Xiling was very happy, smiled sweetly, and suddenly said, Master, can you ride a horse? Although she and Pegasus had a great understanding of each other, she felt that Pegasus' potential was not being used. It should be a question of your own riding skills. Li Fan smiled and said. It's very simple. I will teach you how to ride as a teacher in the future. Thank you, master. At this time, a voice came from outside along with a knock on the door. Is Senior Li here? Mu Wonking's voice came. Please come in. Li Fan spoke. Mu Wonking walked in immediately. Senior Qi, we have received news that there is a change in the depths of the wilderness, triggering a tide of beasts. Now, all forces are coming to the God Burial Wilderness. Even the Yun family and Zhan family from far away in Zhongzhou have also mobilized. In addition, the old grapevines in our village also come from the depths of the wilderness, these are part of the roots of the old vines. She spoke respectfully and took out a piece of grape root. That root is a clone of their spirit sacrifice. Lao Teng had a premonition of something. In order to let the Lord of the Wild Sky understand the depths of the wilderness, he sealed all his memories of the depths of the wilderness in these roots and asked Mu Wonking to send them to Li Fan for reading. Although it was just a seed at the time, and the memories and images left behind were fragmented and chaotic, it still had a certain use. Li Fan felt nervous when he heard this. Damn it, why is it that where I live, there are either earthquakes or animal tides every 3 days? Too bad luck. What if those beasts rush into the village and hurt people randomly? At the same time, there was some confusion in his eyes. The change was the change. Why did Mu Wonking send a piece of grape root? No. At this point, he suddenly moved slightly and took out a crystal piece. The crystal piece glowed slightly. Is this grape root related to a rare plant? Lu Rang suddenly spoke in surprise. Li Fan was overjoyed. What is luck? This is called luck. This Mu Wonking is really a lucky star. Her front foot brought her news about rare animals, and her back foot brought her clues about rare plants. Tisk tisk, it seems that it won't be long before I can complete the system's tasks by myself. At this moment, his heart was full of hope. Although this system is really useless and my own practice is really slow, but one step at a time, I can always make progress. Deep in the wilderness, he was thinking about who would be better off this time. Big Demon King, I'm going. At this time, Yun 11 opened his mouth and said. I probably know that place. Yes, I can even go and extract your ghost teeth. Mainly, she heard from Mu Wonking that the Yun family and the Zhan family were also coming. She wanted to sneak over and see her family. After all, I haven't been home for 3 years. When Xiling heard this, her big eyes lit up. Pulling out the ghost teeth? Master, I'm going with Sister Yungzi. I'm also going to extract ghost teeth. Oh no, I'm going to find rare plants. Zai Ling's face was filled with excitement. When Li Fan heard this, his forehead went dark. Pull out ghost teeth. He felt that he should reflect deeply. How on earth did he lead Yungzi and Xiling into bad situations? Why are they so brave? However, he still nodded and said, "Okay, go ahead and be careful." After a pause, he said again, "Xiling, take your master's medicine hoe with you. Be careful when you find the rare plants. Don't dig them up." Xiling and Yungzi looked like they had never done farm work before. He was really worried. "Okay, master." Xiling immediately went to take the small hoe with her. The small hoe was quite delicate and small, even a girl could use it easily. Seeing this, Mu Wanqing also took a deep breath and said, "Miss Yungzi, Sister Xiling, I will go with you. She has practiced the method passed down by the spirit sacrifice since she was a child, and the spirit sacrifice comes from that area, so it may be able to help." "Okay, sister, let's go and extract the ghost teeth." Xiling spoke. Before leaving, she asked Lu Rang to help take care of the pony. The pony was a little timid at first, but soon became a happy group playing with the little golden bull and the little unicorn. After leaving the small mountain village, the three of them immediately headed towards the depths of the wilderness. "Xiling, I asked you to find out something for me." At this time, Yun 11 suddenly spoke, a little nervous. Xiling said, "Well, sister, it seems that Zhan Shaoling from the Zhan family is not married yet, but it is said that he will be engaged soon with Yun Qin from the Yun family in Zhongzhou." Far away in the eastern wasteland, Xiling could only find out this information. Hearing this, Yun 11 was startled. "Sister Yunkin, is she going to get engaged to Zhan Shaoling?" "No. Zhan Shaoling is not a good person. Sister Yunkin will not be happy marrying him." There was a hint of worry in her eyes. "I hope I can meet Sister Qin, I have to tell her." These days, the God Burial Wasteland, which used to be inaccessible to people, was extremely lively. In the eastern wasteland, the troops of the Muling dynasty, led by Mu Zhenkong and Mu Rantian, came to support. The teams of the Yun family and the Zhan family in Zhongzhou also crossed the mountains and reached the depths of the wilderness. There are more powerful forces, sects, etc. Although the God Burial Wasteland is a desperate place, it does contain opportunities that even the gods covet. The current changes most likely represent the emergence of some opportunities, and everyone wants to take a piece of the pie. Shortly after, Yun 11, Xiling, and Mu Wanqing finally arrived. The land ahead is in a mess. It was originally a canyon, but now the cliffs have collapsed, rocks are scattered all over, and an extremely rich and evil aura fills the world. People from all areas of the great ruins gathered here in great excitement. Good guys, there are more and more prophecy masters in the comment area, and there are also stronger readers. They can directly receive updates in the comment area, faster than me. I can't stop you. This year's readers are awesome. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 458. It was like an earthquake had occurred here. The earth is cracked, cliffs are collapsing, streams are blocked, rocks and fallen trees are everywhere. Behind the collapsed cliff is a secret realm exuding a strong evil aura. Vaguely, you can still see the giant vines sweeping across the sky in that secret realm, as if they can hunt down all the gods and Buddhas in the sky. This place is extraordinary. What exactly is inside this? In the past, even the gods died in the wilderness. It contains a great opportunity. Whenever the strongest person has no way out and his life comes to an end, he will come to this wilderness to try. This secret place is very strange. Hundreds of people entered it rashly, but after traveling no more than a few hundred meters, they lost their minds, went completely crazy, and even massacred each other. At first glance, there were thousands of people from various major sects who came, and they were all talking about it at the moment. Among the crowd, there are mostly young people, with at most some middle-aged strong men leading the team. Because the evil aura in the wilderness is very strange, the stronger your cultivation level, the easier it is to be affected. It is very dangerous for those old and strong men with weak vitality to enter. Therefore, almost all the old experts stayed outside the wilderness, allowing the young and middle-aged generation to enter. If they really found any great opportunity, they would come immediately. Thousands of people are now waiting in place, studying this secret realm, and no longer dare to enter randomly. Once you step into the secret realm, the evil aura can make people go crazy. At the entrance to the secret realm, there were already many corpses, all left by the cultivators who entered it and killed each other after going crazy. The Yun family is here. Some people spoke, and many people looked sideways. I saw a girl in a white dress walking towards her. She was pretty, like a fairy, and almost all the young people present had blazing eyes. Fairy Yunkin from the Yun family. The goddess of my dreams. She actually came in person. It seems that the Yun family really attaches great importance to this place this time. Yun Qin was extremely indifferent, but there was a hint of superiority in her eyes. In the past, it was difficult for her to get such attention. Because, at that time, Yongzi was still there and was the most dazzling star. But now, she enjoys the admiration of men all over the world, and her life is destined to be glorious. However, thinking about the purpose of her coming this time, her heart couldn't help but be filled with a haze. Looking for Yongzi. She tried her best to forget the name, and couldn't help but look forward to looking for Zhan Shaoling. She knew that someone from the Zhan family was also here, and Zhan Shaoling personally entered the God Burial Wilderness. The Zhan family has arrived. At this time, someone in the crowd was talking. Zhan Shaoling came riding on a silver horse. He was dressed in a white jade-like brocade robe and looked as rich as jade. The moment he appeared, he attracted the attention of everyone present. The number one young person in Zhongzhou. The invincible in this generation. He's here too. Many people spoke, and some young people even looked sad. Because Zhan Shaoling was so powerful that he was known as the number one young man in Zhongzhou. At the age of 18, he was already invincible to his contemporaries. The Xianming battle body is powerful in the world. Many people even believe that in this life, he is the man most likely to become a god. The eyes of countless girls are burning. Yun Qin's beautiful eyes suddenly glowed with brilliance. She walked over and said with a smile. Mr. Zhan, you are here too. Zhan Shaoling dismounted, politely, and said with a slight smile, it's a real honor to meet Miss Yun here. Senior Qian Shan, are you also waiting outside? Yun Qin nodded and said. Right. Mr. Zhan, can we enter this secret realm together? It seems to be very dangerous. There was expectation in her beautiful eyes. Sure. Zhan Shaoling smiled warmly and said, we are very well prepared this time, Miss Yun, don't worry. Yunkin was secretly happy. Let's go, it's time for us to go in. Behind Zhan Shaoling, a middle-aged man with a strong aura spoke. This middle-aged man is a strong member of the Zhan family, Zhan Chonglei. Of course, the Zhan family will not let the proud son of heaven go into danger alone, and is equipped with strong men from the middle-aged generation to protect him. Brother Zhan, in my opinion, we should just wait for a while. At this moment, a middle-aged strong man next to Yun Qin spoke. He was the strong man of the Yun family, the cousin of the family leader, Yun Yingxing. I have already inquired with the Muling dynasty. This secret realm is extremely dangerous and cannot be entered for the time being. It is said that the queen of the Muling dynasty has already gone to find a way to enter this place. He suggested. Brother Yun, do you actually believe in the Wood Spirit dynasty? Zhang Konglei sneered and said, behind them, are ghosts. Before they came to Donghuang, they carefully investigated everything that happened in Donghuang. The two gods of the eastern wilderness were defeated because of the old ghost that appeared at the Sanshenzhou God-respecting festival, and their incense was lost. The so-called purple-clothed goddess who appeared in the three divine states, in the view of their Zhan family, was just a trick used by the Muling dynasty to rule the eastern wasteland. First send out ghosts to defeat the gods, and then send out so-called goddesses to scare away the old ghosts, so that the world will follow the Muling dynasty. According to their analysis, the incident in Sanshenzhou was just a double act. Behind the Muling dynasty, there must be a ghost manipulating people's hearts. Hearing this, Yun Yingxing frowned slightly, but said nothing. Because what Zhang Konglei said does make sense. The background of the Muling dynasty has been very suspicious so far. Senior Yun, you don't have to hesitate. We are fully prepared this time. Zhan Shaoling also smiled slightly and spoke. They immediately stepped forward together. Seeing that the two major divine families had already moved, the major sects followed closely behind. The atmosphere here is chaotic. In my opinion, we must enter from there. Zhang Konglei pointed to an area where some vines were growing and looked full of life. Where there are vines growing, it means that the evil aura has a weaker impact on living beings. Everyone nodded and prepared to move forward. No. But at this time, an old shout rang out. Murantian hurriedly walked out and said, everyone, you must not leave from there. Hearing this, everyone looked over. Who is your excellency? Zhang Konglei spoke indifferently. Murantian said, Old Rottenwood Spirit Dynasty Elder, Murantian. In the past few days, they were waiting here for Mu Wonking's arrival while preventing major forces from entering. After all, according to the information provided by the sacrifice spirit, in this secret realm, death can contribute to some kind of strange power. Everyone, according to the information we have received, these vines are extremely dangerous, so we must find another way. Murantian spoke. Haha, Your Excellency, you might as well tell me where is the right way to enter. Zhang Konglei sneered. Murantian shook his head and said, I don't know, we are waiting too. Zhang Konglei said coldly. Are you waiting for the devil in the wilderness? A group of ghost slaves who don't fear the gods dare to raise their eyebrows. Go away, otherwise I will kill you today. He scolded. Murantian's face was ugly, and his eyes were filled with anger. Don't worry, everyone, our Zhan family is fully prepared and can go straight in. Zhang Konglei spoke. Hearing this, many people immediately rushed towards the area Zhang Konglei mentioned. Go a mile or two deep in the blink of an eye? Indeed, the weird aura here is much weaker. The leader exclaimed. Suddenly, everyone was overjoyed and quickly entered. However, just when everyone was rejoicing, a shrill scream suddenly spread. I saw a cultivator being penetrated directly by a vine. Dripping with blood, the cultivator's body shrank rapidly, as if it had been sucked dry by the vines. No. What the hell is this? Help me. In an instant, countless vines growing in disorder in that area seemed to be awakened, showing terrifying power and killing the practitioners. Even a middle-aged strong man in the second level of the god-refining realm was penetrated instantly. You must know that the strong men of the older generation are all outside. At this level, they are almost considered to be the top strong men in the field. At this moment, there were hundreds of cultivators who entered first, and they were all running away in a hurry. But those vines danced like monsters, like bloodthirsty devils. There are many cultivators, but there are more vines. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of cultivators were all dead. Withered corpses lay everywhere. Seeing this scene, everyone felt chills in their hearts. What the hell is that? Why are those vines so scary? Everyone spoke in fear. Hey, plants growing in a place like this, how can they be simple? Murantian sighed. Old guy, tell me, what do you know? Jean Conglay looked at Murantian angrily. I actually made a wrong judgment. Everyone also stared at it. Murantian knew that he had to convince these people now, otherwise he would kill them crazily, or a big disaster would happen. The sacrificial spirits of our Muling dynasty were born here. These are some pictures provided by the sacrificial spirits. He took out an old tree root. Infuse spiritual energy. In an instant, pictures appeared one after another. A dead land, with no chirping of insects or birds, only countless strange vines growing. Among the vines, there are many ancient bones. Some of those bones are shining with white light. It is obvious that they were the most powerful people in life. Everyone was shocked when they saw this. Is this the scene deep in the secret realm? Those vines, rooted in ancient corpses. Too evil. Everyone spoke one after another. But Jean Conglay sneered and suddenly grabbed Murantian. Murantian was startled and hurriedly took action to resist. However, his cultivation was no match for Jean Conglay, and he was blown away. The tree root came out of his hand and was caught by Jean Conglay. Village head. Elder. For a moment, everyone in the Muling dynasty hurried forward and helped Murantian up, only to see that his face was pale and the corners of his mouth were full of blood. Munanchan even roared. You, how dare you hurt someone? Jean Conglay Leng said. We are never polite to those who worship the devil, the family of gods. If you dare to say anything again, I won't mind destroying your so-called wood spirit dynasty first. High and above, extremely proud. Another reason why he dared to be so arrogant was that, the Jean family was really well prepared this time. Be confident in defeating ghosts. Everyone in the Jean family immediately released their breath. Very strong. Everyone in the Muling dynasty looked extremely ugly. Compared with the profound spiritual family, they are too weak. Munanchan clenched his fists tightly and his eyes were about to burst. At this moment, he regretted extremely. If it weren't for the sake of taking care of the rear, giving the rice bag given by Senior Li to Mu Zhenkong to guard the dynasty, how could it be so humiliating? However, at this time, a cold female voice came. The Woodslaying dynasty. Are you worthy? Everyone turned their heads. I saw 3 girls coming side by side from behind. In an instant, everyone in the Jean family and the Yun family suddenly changed their expressions. There is one more chapter to be written. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 459. 3 girls came side by side. Yungzi is dressed in white, with a graceful and exquisite figure, long and slender legs, a stunning appearance, a pretty nose, skin like gelatin, and a pair of big clear eyes, like the crescent moon in the sky. Zi Ling is wearing a purple dress and is extremely beautiful. Her curvy figure is extremely proud, her delicate facial features are like works of art from heaven, and her bright eyes are like the Xuanhuan of Jushan. Next to them, although Mu Wanqing is slightly inferior, she is equally beautiful. Like 3 extremely beautiful flowers, people can't take their eyes away for a while. People from the Jean family and the Yun family were looking at the girl in white in shock. You are Yungzi. Yun Yingxing spoke in disbelief. He stepped forward and stared at Yungzi non-stop. It's her, how is she still alive? At this moment, Zhan Shaoling lost his mind. As for Yun Qin, her delicate body trembled and her body stiffened. When Yun 11 saw Yun Yinxing, he was immediately overjoyed and said, Second uncle, you are here. At the same time, she also saw Yunkin. Sister Qin, I finally see you. Yun 11 was so excited that she trotted up to Yun Qin, held Yun Qin's hand, and said, Sister Qin. Yun Qin looked at the excited Yun 11, forced a stiff smile on her face, and said, Yungzi, you are finally back, sister, I miss you so much. Yungzi also nodded happily and said, Me too, Sister Qin, what's wrong with you? Why are your hands so cold? She felt that the Yunkin player was a little cold. Yun Qin gently pulled back his hand and said, No. It's nothing. Yungzi, it's so good that you're back, so good. She smiled stiffly. Yun 11 felt that she seemed a little lost and confused, and said, Sister, I'm sorry, it's all because of my willfulness that you have been wronged on my behalf. Don't worry, I will never let my family force you to marry Zhan Shaoling. She made up her mind, if the worst happened, she would ask the big devil for help. But when Yun Qin heard this, he suddenly looked at Yun 11. I volunteered. She repeated word for word, I volunteered. Yun 11 was stunned and said, but, he. Yun Qin's eyes suddenly flashed with a provocative light and said, he and I are about to get married. You don't like him, but, I like him. In my eyes, he is the best person in the world. Yun 11 shook his head and said, no, he is not. Yun Qin felt that Yun 11's words were like a provocation, and couldn't help but say, isn't he? Is there anyone better than him in this world? Can you find him? At this moment, Yun 11 suddenly felt that Yun Qin was different from what he remembered. She was silent for a moment and said, I found it. Hearing this, Yun Qin couldn't help but raise her eyebrows. She knew that Yun 11 would never lie to her. Could it be said that Yun 11 had someone he liked? However, she didn't think too much at the moment, but looked into Yun 11's eyes. You will bless me, right? For a moment, Yun 11 didn't know how to answer, so he could only say, I hope you are happy. Hearing this, Yun Qin felt inexplicably relieved. Yungzi. At this time, Zhan Shaoling had already walked over. He stared at Yun 11, his eyes filled with surprise and surprise. Yungzi, I haven't seen you for 3 years, and you have become more beautiful. He praised sincerely, and there seemed to be a hint of desire in his eyes, and said, where have you been in the past 3 years? Yun 11 said, what does it have to do with you? Zhan Shaoling was startled for a moment. As the number 1 genius in Zhongzhou, when had he ever been so indifferent? Now he is exhausted. But seeing Zhan Shaoling's expression, Yun Qin felt as if someone had punched him hard. She could see the heat in Zhan Shaoling's eyes, and the eagerness beneath his gentle expression. I've never had it for myself. As for Zhan Shaoling, after being criticized, a gloomy look flashed in his eyes, but he quickly adjusted himself, changed the topic, and continued. Yungzi, what are you doing here? Are you going to the secret place? Yungzi Road. What does it have to do with you? Zhan Shaoling was a little dazed and said. He felt a little crazy. With such great charm and my own Xianming combat body, is there anyone in this world who is better than me? Why does this Yungzi look down on herself so much? Although he had ulterior motives for marrying Yungzi back then, from the bottom of his heart, he also longed for such a Taoist companion. Now I feel frustrated. Miss Yungzi, are you associating with ghosts now? At this time, Zhang Konglei suddenly spoke, and he looked at Zi Ling aside with evil intentions. Girl in purple. She came with Mu Wanking, she should be the rumored master of Pegasus. In an instant, many people's eyes fell on Zi Ling and they guessed Zi Ling's identity. Yun 11 frowned slightly and said. What does it have to do with you? Zhang Konglei was extremely angry, but was speechless for a moment. Zi Ling also came over, looked at Zhang Konglei angrily, and said. You hurt people for no reason, and you still want to destroy the Wood Spirit dynasty. Apologize to Senior Murantian and return the things. Zhang Konglei became even more angry and said, "How dare you?" But at this time, Zhan Shaoling suddenly said in a deep voice, "Okay, we apologize. There was a little misunderstanding just now. I'm really sorry." As he said that, he took the wooden root from Zhang Konglei's hand and said, "The original jade returns to Zhao." After saying that, he stepped forward and offered it with both hands, and handed it to Murantian. During the whole process, Zhang Konglei's face was gloomy, but he did not dare to say anything. Although he is an elder, he deeply understands that he is no scumbag in front of Zhan Shaoling in terms of scheming and city government. Zhan Shaoling's behavior surprised everyone. "Yungzi, you are here probably to enter the secret realm. I really hope you can join us." He acted extremely sincerely and said, "In this way, I will keep you safe." He was very thoughtful, and when he saw that Yun 11 was actually with Zi Ling, he thought of a lot. Yungzi disappeared for 3 years. 3 years later, a certain being was born in the great wilderness and unified the eastern wasteland. Yungzi was even related to this being. He suddenly thought, Yungzi's disappearance 3 years ago was simply a conspiracy of the Yun family. The purpose is to get Yungzi to come here and cooperate with the existence here. What are the beings in the wilderness and the Yun family doing together? He felt like there was a big conspiracy. You must know that the reason why their Zhan family married the Yun family was because of the original Taoist principles of the Great Ruin Realm that the Yun family protects. If the Yun family really has a big plan, then he must figure it out, otherwise it will most likely affect the Zhan family's plan. Therefore, it is best to go in with Yungzi and Xiling to see what their purpose is. Yun 11 said, not interested. Turning towards Xiling, he said, "Sister Xiling, let's go. I also have to find rare plants for the big devil." Xiling nodded, and Mu Wanqing also stepped forward and said, "I'll go in with you." They are ready to go. At this moment, Zhan Shaoling's heart was filled with anger. He felt a great insult. Yungzi didn't even bother to look at herself. What a contempt. Are you really not going to get enough oil and salt? At the same time, he became more and more certain that Yun 11 and the Yun family must have ulterior motives. "Sister Yunkin, are you with us?" At this time, Yun 11 suddenly turned around and looked at Yun Qin. When Zhan Shaoling showed his kindness to Yungzi again and again, Yunkin's heart was twisted and sad. She suddenly realized, as long as Yun 11 was still alive, she might never win Zhan Shaoling's heart. At this moment, she smiled slightly towards Yun 11, walked forward and said, "Sister Yungzi, I won't be with you anymore. I have promised Shaoling to go with him. This is the clan's most precious jade to ward off evil spirits. Please bring it with you." She took out a piece of jade and handed it to Yun 11. Yungzi rode. "No, sister, what are you going to do if you give it to me?" "I don't need it, just stay with us." But Yun Qin put it in her hand and said, "If you don't accept it, you won't recognize me as your sister. Don't worry, I have other treasures with me." Yun 11 looked at Yun Qin and felt a little warm in her heart. At this moment, she felt that the sister Qin who had talked to her about everything and grew up together was back. "Thank you, Sister Qin." She no longer refused and accepted the piece of jade. Then, the three of them headed directly towards the secret realm. Huh? They can actually go deep into it? Not crazy. Everyone was surprised. Soon, the figures of the three Yungzi people were no longer visible. "Mr. Zhan, let's go in too." At this time, Yun Qin spoke to Zhan Shaoling. "Good." Zhan Shaoling also spoke immediately and said, "Use the divine artifact." There was some urgency in his heart. The Yun family and the beings in the wilderness were joining forces to explore the secret realm. It was enough to show that there was something incredible in this secret realm, and they had to enter quickly. Hearing this, Zhang Konglei nodded and took out a big umbrella. The umbrella's colorful divine light was brilliant. The moment it was opened, the divine aura fell down, covering most of the people around it. The group of them set off. Stepping into the secret realm and feeling the evil aura coming towards his face, Yunqin suddenly took out a piece of jade, held it in his hand and said, "Shaoling, come closer to me. This jade of mine can ward off evil spirits." Zhan Shaoling came closer and said unexpectedly, "Is this the unique piece of sacred jade of the Yun family?" Yunqin nodded and said, "Yes, avoid evil and seek good luck. This is the only thing in the world." Zhan Shaoling murmured. It is said that when the first generation of the Yun family attained enlightenment, he was accompanied by two pieces of jade. One of them was contaminated with divinity and could ward off evil spirits. The other piece absorbed the evil nature when he attained enlightenment and could bring bad luck. And Yunqin suddenly said, "Yungzi, I already have the person I like." Zhan Shaoling's expression suddenly changed. Yungzi has someone he likes. His heart became heavier and heavier. If Yun 11 marries someone else, he will have the hope of seizing the original principles. I'm afraid it's going to be a complete failure. Suddenly, he looked at Yunqin, a thoughtful look flashing in his eyes. Why did Yunqin tell herself? He had already indulged in love affairs and played with the feelings of countless girls, but now he instantly understood, Yunqin, this girl, was already enamored of him. Moreover, she is jealous of Yungzi. He suddenly felt that the big conspiracy between the Yun family and the man in Dawang was not without loopholes. But, it is full of flaws, and the biggest flaw seems to have appeared in front of me. This Yunqin is very likely to become his lucky star. He already has a plan in his mind. He suddenly held Yunqin's hand and said affectionately, "My heart has long belonged to you. I love you." At this moment, he felt Yunqin's little hands trembling. He understood that the woman in front of him had been completely conquered and could be used by him. Kevin, it's too stuck. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 460. Yungzi and the other three stepped into the secret realm. The Black Earth seemed to have experienced endless destruction, with pits and pits exuding an aura of evil and chaos. Except for some vines, there are no living creatures in this secret realm. Quiet as death. There were not many vines in the outer area. As they went deeper, they could see them everywhere. Like a sea of vines. Many vines looked more and more monstrous, and there were faintly visible bones in the soil where the vines took root. There should be a big danger ahead. At this time, Mu Wanqing spoke solemnly and said, "According to the information provided by the spirit sacrifice, there is a vine man hidden among the vines deep in the secret realm." Zi Ling asked in confusion, "Teng Ren?" Yes, when Lord Sacrifice was still a seed, he once saw humanoid vines walking in this area. Those vines were very powerful. According to Lord Sacrificial Spirit, it is speculated that certain vines took root on the corpse of an extremely powerful deceased, obtained the Tao fruit of the powerful person during his lifetime, transformed, and formed the vine man. Mu Wanqing spoke. Hearing this, Yungzi and Xiling were both a little surprised. Vine turns into human? What should that look like? Mu Wanqing said, however, those vine people are difficult to see, so they should not be encountered by us. They continued forward and stepped into the vines ahead. At this moment, a piece of jade worn on Yungzi's waist suddenly gave off some kind of evil aura. As this aura spread, the surrounding vines began to twist, as if they were awakened, and spread towards the three of them with their teeth and claws spread out. The dense vines are enough to scare anyone. Let me. Zi Ling stepped forward, and in her hand, The phoenix feather pen made a stroke. Suddenly, a blazing flame was brought up. That is the true fire of Phoenix. Wherever the real fire passed, all the vines were instantly burned to ashes. The rest of the vines seemed to sense the threat and were spreading towards the surrounding areas. Don't dare to stop it. Sister, your piece of jade. Xiling looked at the jade pendant on Yungzi's waist in confusion. She felt a dark and evil aura. Yun 11 picked up the jade pendant, and there seemed to be a trace of loss in her beautiful eyes. Of course she knew about the 2 pieces of jade left by the first gods of the Yun family. The 2 pieces of jade are exactly the same. But at this moment, it seems that this jade is obviously the piece that retains the evil nature of the first generation of gods. The 2 pieces of jade are exactly the same and it's hard to tell them apart. Is she wrong, or? Yun 11 murmured, feeling extremely sad. In fact, Yungzi Bingxiu is so smart that even Zhan Shaoling, who is as scheming as Zhan Shaoling, cannot deceive her. Yun Qin's clumsy techniques and scheming are far inferior to Zhan Shaoling's. However, she has regarded Yunqin as a relative since she was a child. The deep family affection made her subconsciously unwilling to think in a bad direction. Once wisdom meets emotion, it can easily be deceived. She didn't say anything more, she just crushed Yaju into pieces. At this moment, in this black land of calligraphy and painting, somewhere in the dense sea of vines, countless black vines formed a throne. On the throne, there actually sat a humanoid creature. This humanoid spirit is made of vines. It's like a dummy made by a craftsman out of vines. However, at this moment, the vines seemed to sense something and stood up. Destroy my people, you deserve to die. He roared, took a step forward, and disappeared from where he was. Yungzi Xiling and others entered all the way. With the Yaja destroyed and the power of the phoenix quill in Xiling's hand, no vines dared to mess around anymore, but they all avoided it. Suddenly a powerful energy came. The surrounding vines suddenly seemed to be going crazy, making a comeback and rushing towards Yun 11 and the others. What happened? Mu Wanqing spoke unexpectedly. That's, Vine Man. Zi Ling pointed to somewhere in the vine jungle. I saw a human-shaped vine, speeding like the wind, coming in the blink of an eye. If you break into my kingdom and dare to attack my people, I will make your flesh and blood turn into clay. The Vine Man had already arrived, looking extremely indifferent at the moment. His aura is extremely powerful, already beyond the realm of divine connection. This is, a demigod-level powerhouse, in the realm of divine transformation. Mu Wanqing's face changed. Above the Tongshen is the god of transformation, and after the god of transformation is the wandering god. The realm of transformation into gods has been called a sub-god. Second only to gods. It is extremely difficult to see cultivators of this level, because they are all in retreat, trying to catch the chance of divine power. They will never be born unless they have to. The demigod-level Vine Man was so fierce that he raised his hand, and in an instant, the sky was filled with vines, like spears and divine swords, stabbing at the 3 of them. Yun 11 stepped forward, and a butterfly appeared on her hand. Fluttering wings. In an instant, it was as if the entire space was about to be torn apart, and the vines all over the sky were destroyed in an instant. No! Vine Man exclaimed and screamed. It seemed as if it was hit by some force, split open instantly, and fell to the ground. The demigod-level Vine Man was defeated in an instant. I burned him. Zi Ling also opened her mouth and stroked her pen. The Vine Man's body immediately burned. No! Ah, help, ah! Vine Man screamed and howled. Huh? That's not right, why does it smell like? At this time, Yun 11 and others looked at the Vine Man in surprise. The Vine Man's body was burning, emitting a unique fragrance of wood. Moreover, while burning, the smoke emitted from the Vine Man's body actually evolved into various Taoist imprints, including the mythical beasts of Yukshanki and Bifangdan, dancing and passing by. This vine man has absorbed the principles of the ancient powerful, and his body can already be said to be a Taoist body. Any vine is a supreme treasure. Mu Wanking looked shocked. The aptitudes of this vine man are unparalleled. With such a Taoist body, I am afraid he can become a god. Zi Ling's big eyes also lit up and she said, "Ah, I heard Master say that some wood is naturally fragrant. It would be great if used for smoking bacon or something. It's such a pity to burn them all. I want to take some back home for barbecue later. It will be useful for smoking bacon in the village." When Yun 11 heard this, he was also happy and said, "Okay. Zi Ling is about to put out the fire." Zi Ling immediately extinguished the phoenix true fire, and the two of them walked to Tengren. The vine man was already dying, and now it looked at these girls with fear in its eyes. "Huh? These branches burn the most fragrantly." Yungzi pointed at a few vines at the heart of the vine man. The vines exuded a silvery luster, almost not looking like plants anymore, but like metal. "You, please hand over these firewood, otherwise I will kill you." Yungzi spoke to Tengren. When Fujito heard this, he was shocked. You need to know that the vine branches at the heart are the essence of the Tao principles he absorbed from those ancient powerful men. For all vine people, it is the most important backbone. Now, these girls actually want to take it away? He felt angry and humiliated to the extreme. As the king of vines, how could he ever be like this? "Ah, you don't want to? I'll tear you apart." Yun 11 had already rolled up his sleeves, revealing his white arms, and was ready to take action. Because the vine man's body seems to be made of vines, if you want to get some vine firewood to the heart, you must first dismantle the vine man. When Tengren heard this, he immediately became anxious and said hurriedly, "No, I'll give it to you." People are like slaves and fish, and he has understood that if he doesn't give it, he will be really miserable. Trembling, he took out a few vine branches from his heart and handed them to Yun 11. Yungzi took the vines, but was a little annoyed and said, "This little firewood is too little. It's not even enough for barbecue, and it's even less for smoking bacon." Hearing this, Fujito's mentality suddenly collapsed. Damn! That is the Taoist bone that has been formed after growing for thousands of years. It is extremely precious. Are they actually using it as firewood? Have a barbecue? Smoked bacon? He was so angry that he vomited blood. "Otherwise, I'd better tear you apart. There's not enough firewood." Yun 11 said, although the firewood in other parts of the vine man's body was much worse than the firewood in the heart, the quantity was not enough and he could only make do with it. Hearing this, Tengren suddenly panicked, and his words were filled with tears. "No. Auntie, I'm begging you, by the way, go in, I want a lot of vine brothers, the firewood they have is of better quality. Put them together, they will definitely be enough for you to smoke bacon." He gave it all. "As long as you don't die, you still have a chance to raise Tao bones." Hearing this, Yungzi was immediately happy and said, "Really? Zi Ling, Wan Qing, let's go quickly and collect firewood. Then let Li Fan cook a barbecue for us." Zi Ling was also very excited. Mu Wanking's heart became more and more complicated. At this moment, she actually felt a trace of sympathy for the extremely powerful vines in the secret realm. Tragic, so tragic. And not long after they left, people from the Zhan family and Yun family finally arrived here. Huh? It seems like there was a battle here. It's very intense, there are a lot of broken vines on the ground. Everyone spoke unexpectedly. Yunkin, on the other hand, had a trace of expectation and excitement in her eyes at this moment. She looked around for the body. With that piece of jade, she will be strangled by the vines, She will definitely. She prayed secretly in her heart. It's just a good chance that someone is going through the thunder. Let's go. Zhang Xiaoling was indifferent. However, before everyone took a few steps forward, someone suddenly exclaimed. What is that? A vine? A person? Everyone looked attentively and saw a human-shaped vine in front of them among the messy vines. Astonishingly, it was the vine man whose Taoist bones were taken away by Yungzi and the others. The vine man absorbed the power of countless vines around him, and finally recovered to a full extent at this moment. As soon as I got up, I saw a group of humans and couldn't help but get furious. You bunch of ants, I'm going to kill you. He gritted his teeth and raised his hand, thousands of vines shot out. Ah! In an instant, countless people screamed and howled. No! This is a demigod-level creature. Zhang Konglei's face changed drastically and he said. Invincible, we have to leave quickly. Zhang Xiaoling also nodded, his face darkened, and he said. Let the others attract its attention and we break out. Immediately, the elites of the Yun family and the Zhang family, holding sacred weapons, no longer protected everyone, and fled towards the front. But, at this moment, the vine man suddenly saw Yun Qin. This ant is very similar to the demon girl who just snatched his Dao bone. Suddenly, he felt furious and fiercely attacked Yun Qin. I can't beat her. If I don't believe it, I can't beat you. Go to hell, you disgusting human race. He had nowhere to vent his anger, and now a woman who looked very similar to the devil girl appeared. She was the perfect target to vent his anger. As for Yun Qin, when she saw the vine man coming to attack him like crazy, her pretty face turned pale and she hurriedly ran away. But Teng Ren pursued him closely, and even some masters from the Yun family and the Zhan family tried to stop him, but they were all killed. Hold on to Yunkin and won't let go. Yun Qin's heart trembled. She wanted to ask, why are you chasing me? Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 461. Vine Man takes crazy action at this moment. Everyone in the Yun family and Zhan family were extremely shocked. This creature seemed to be heading towards Yunkin. The masters of the two families took action one after another, but the strongest person who followed was only in the realm of refining gods, and was not worth mentioning in front of the incarnation realm vines known as demigods. Dozens of people died in the blink of an eye. Teng Ren drew a vine towards Yunkin. No. Yunkin trembled, but she couldn't resist at all. She was whipped away and suddenly hit the ground. There was a blood mark on her buttocks. Bitch, I'll kill you. Vine Man spoke angrily and came to attack. Dare you? Yun Yingxing shouted, and he hurriedly took out a token. In an instant, a ray of divine aura came out, and the secret power bombarded the Vine Man. This is the trump card brought by their Yun family this time. It can exert the power of a wandering god, but it can only be used once. The Vine Man felt threatened and hated it, but he could only avoid it and turned around and left. Vine Man disappeared, and everyone present breathed a sigh of relief. What the hell is this? It's so scary. The vines actually became sane and became humanoids. This place is really extraordinary. Miss Yunkin, why do you attract so much hatred? Everyone spoke one after another. But Yunkin stood up with difficulty. Her pretty face was very sad and angry, her buttocks were red and swollen from being slapped, her white skirt was also torn, and her beauty was leaking out. It's just crazy. It's okay, Yunkin. At this time, Zhan Xiaoling came over with a concerned look on his face, took off his outer robe and put it on Yunkin, covering her from the spring sunshine. Xiaoling, why am I so unlucky? Yunkin felt extremely wronged. This place is too dangerous. The artifacts we brought have been used. We can't go any deeper. We should retreat. At this time, Yun Yingxing spoke. Moving forward, there is no guarantee. Zhan Shaoling said. Uncle Yun, don't worry, we have brought many god-level treasures, which are enough to protect our two families. Now he has determined that there is a conspiracy between the Yun family and the existence in Dawang. And Yun Qin was regarded by him as the breakthrough point to crack this conspiracy and complete the family mission. Yun Qin must not be allowed to leave. Hearing this, Yun Qin couldn't help but look at Zhan Shaoling and said, Shaoling, will you protect me? Zhan Shaoling smiled slightly and said, of course. Yun Qin said, yes, but I seem to be a little unlucky, and I will bring bad luck to you. He held Yun Qin's hand and said, how could it be? Meeting you is the luckiest thing that happened to me. You are my lucky star. At this moment, listening to these gentle and sweet words, Yun Qin felt that his heart was about to melt. They immediately moved on. But soon they entered another area overgrown with vines. Ah, I hate the human race so much. In front, a vine man was speaking sadly and angrily. Immediately afterwards, the vine man turned around and saw the people who had just walked over. Then, Fujito locked his eyes on Yunkin. Bitch, I'll kill you. The vine man charged in madly, and the vines were overwhelming. Hundreds of cultivators died wherever they passed. Run. What the hell is this? Here we go again. Everyone was panicked. And Yun Qin's beautiful eyes were even more crazy at this moment. Ah, why? Zhan Shaoling was shocked. What, why did you come to Yunkin again? Why does this Yunkin really bring bad luck? However, he gritted his teeth and said, third uncle, come on. Suddenly, Zhang Konglei stepped forward and held out a knife. That is a sword blessed by the gods and can be used 3 times. However, the vine man here seems to be more powerful than the one I encountered before, and it actually managed to withstand this knife. Boom! The breath was loud, and many vines were cut off from the vine man's chest, and then the vine man ran away. But Zhang Konglei also turned pale and said, this creature is indeed a demigod, very strong. Everyone continued to move forward. Not far. The third vine man appears. This time the vine man is even more powerful. The vines all over his body are old and mottled, thick and powerful. He is obviously an old vine man. When the old man met, he killed Yunkin without saying a word. The speed was so fast that no one could react. The cultivators in front of Yun Qin had already exploded into blood mist, and a cane was drawn fiercely. Yunkin was whipped straight up into the sky. Before she even landed, many canes kept hitting her. She was thrown in the air like a rubber ball and whipped repeatedly. I can't stand it anymore. Yunkin was extremely miserable. Zhang Konglei also hurriedly took out the knife blessed by the gods again and fought towards the old vine man. The old vine man was not afraid and fought against Zhang Konglei. The two sides fought for more than 10 rounds. In the end, the old vine man retreated. After all, he was only a sub-god and could not win in the face of a god-level power. But this time, Zhang Konglei spit out a mouthful of blood. He is injured. Second uncle. Zhan Shaoling spoke with concern. Zhan Chonglei is the strongest fighting force around him. If something goes wrong, the follow-up will be difficult. I'm fine. While Zhan Konglei spoke, he glanced at Yun Qin with some confusion. This Yunkin is too evil, isn't it? If this continues, he feels that he may not be able to get out of this secret realm, and he will be played to death sooner or later. Yun Qin also came over and said pitifully. Shaoling, thank you. I'm really unlucky. I'm sorry. Zhan Shaoling lost his temper at this moment. He wanted to say, damn, are you a little bit? You are such a disaster. Thinking that he actually said before that Yunkin was his lucky star? He just wanted to slap himself twice. However, he still took a deep breath and did not have an attack. He just asked quietly. Qin'er, you got the piece of sacred jade correctly, right? After all, the two pieces of jade in the Yun family are exactly the same, so the one on Yun Qin's body can't be the one that brings bad luck, right? When Yun Qin heard this, he was startled for a moment. He took out the sacred jade and looked at it carefully. That's right, it's clearly the one that wards off evil spirits. And at this moment, Yungzi, Xiling, and Mu Wanqing have already crossed the Sea of Vines. I met 5 vine people in succession, and the ones at the back were more powerful. The last one was even close to being a god. But in front of Yun 11 and Xiling, they all obediently handed over the firewood. Now, there is already a small bundle. That's great. It's enough for us to have a barbecue. Yun 11 spoke happily, already imagining the scene of having barbecue. Mu Wanqing followed all the way, feeling a little numb. She felt that Yun 11 and Xiling seemed to be in such a dangerous place just for fun. Those vines that other cultivators need to fight with their lives, in their view, are just high-quality firewood for walking. It's good to have Senior Li's support. After passing through the sea of vines behind them, there was no more vine in the area where they were now. The empty land and wasteland are covered with black and red soil, as if soaked in blood. In the mud, there are broken swords sinking in the sand, iron shields rusting, and white bones turning into mud. This place seems to be an ancient battlefield, where countless powerful creatures once shed blood. But 1,000 meters ahead, an old vine that reached all the way to the sky suddenly appeared. Seen from a distance, the old vines seem to be thousands of feet high. The vines are like strong dragon bodies, thick and old, entwined with each other and standing tall against the sky. A lonely wilderness with towering old vines. Rare plants. Xiling opened her beautiful eyes wide, and her crystal piece was glowing very strongly at this moment. They immediately prepared to leave. However, right now, a gust of dark wind suddenly struck and swept towards them. In the ears of the 3 of them, it was as if there was a ghost whispering and talking at this moment. This kind of ghost whisper is like a temptation, which can instantly put people into negative emotions. In the dark wind, a ghost suddenly appeared. This ghost looked skinny, with only skin and bones left on its face, as if it had starved to death, and its face was full of a hungry look. The ghost master asked me to wait here. I'm really hungry. Let's eat something first. This starving ghost stared at the 3 Yungzi people, but he was a little surprised and said, "Why are these 3 little girls not affected by this ghost's ghost temptation? You must know that in the dark wind it stirs up, the kind of ghost whispers can expose the darkest and ugliest side of people's hearts. Greed, cruelty, bloodthirsty, lust, and these dark desires are a feast and delicacy for this starving ghost." But he didn't sense anything similar to the 3 girls in front of him. Impossible, these are actually 3 good people. Damn it, do you want to starve me to death? The starving ghost was angry. As a ghost, he was a very picky eater. The more vicious the person, the more delicious it is, just like eating big fish and big meat, and these 3 girl dolls in front of me are actually good people? It tastes tasteless to such a person and it doesn't want to eat it. However, at this moment, the girl in white suddenly looked at the starving ghost and asked, "Are you a ghost?" The starving ghost discovered that instead of being afraid, there was actually a trace of excitement in this girl's eyes. "Of course I am a ghost, I will eat you." The starving ghost threatens fiercely. But the girl in white was even happier and said, "Wow, you want to eat us, then you must have teeth, right?" "Of course." The starving ghost replied proudly, but before he finished speaking, the girl in white was already excited and cheered towards the girl in purple skirt next to her. "Okay, Sister Xiling, pull out his teeth." Hearing this, the starving ghost was suddenly startled. It looked at the girl in the purple skirt. I remembered what Commander Goichi said before. 3 divine states, a girl in a purple skirt, a tooth-pulling monster. Am I stupid? The starving ghost feels his teeth go cold. No more today, no need to wait.